the monophonic mode on there, which is another reason why I prefer the monophonic mode. I'll show you guys. So quite a bit of latency on that poly blue on the polyphonic side. So I definitely prefer this pedal on the mono side. Um, go back to that setting. Um, Now let me kick on a few things. Standard, those are just the pedals. Of course, you normally run through that, some tone shaping things, some IRs, all that good stuff. So real quick, I'm gonna put on my usual gig setup. I'm running. So I also, like I said, the only thing you guys can't see is the Zoom B6, and I have on there. So I'm running the SGT, ampeg SGT, which is the big silver one. This one. Um, and then I'm gonna run that into a 160 compressor, which is a, DBX 160A emulation on the B6. Threshold -5, ratio 2.1. It's a soft knee, and volume is 75. Along with a 1073 pre, which is a Neve 10, is a mic preamp by Neve. 1073 is the model. And that's set flat, but I just have it on for some saturation. Add some nice saturation to the sound. And that's 25, gains 25, everything else flat, and volume is 98. And that's running into an Aguilar 410 with a tweeter IR impulse response, and the low is set to 61, high 63, balance is -11, and volume is -3.1. That's for the Zoom B6. So I'm pretty much using the Zoom B6 for a compressor, a little saturation, and cabinet right now. So here's what that sounds like without the octave pedals. So just a nice general bass sound there. Let's keep going and let's bring this poly blue back in. So this is just pretty much what it sounds like if I'm running it through a bass amp, pretty much. That's the point of me doing this is, I'm using the SGT like an ampeg venture head, running that into a compressor, some saturation to make it sound nice and extra, pretty, and into a speaker cabinet where the balance is, it's only, it's about 90% the preamp and the preamp and compressor 90% that, and then the other 10-11% is the actual IR. But here's what it sounds like with just the preamp, compressor, and a little saturation. So yeah, and here's the what I would do for the OC5. I would turn it on poly mode, turn the range all the way to the left. Um, so it'd be sitting around, what is this, 6 o'clock, right? And negative octave down, set to 12, 9 o'clock on the octave up, and let's rock with that. So you can get a very nice sound out of that as well right there. But let's go ahead and start adding some effects to it. Like I really don't use like I said, I use the poly blue for my synth sounds, but I don't really like the modulations right there. I like the phaser by itself. If I had the poly blue by itself, I definitely would use that phaser. But I don't use it as much. I typically keep it in this setting, and that's just how it lives on my pedal board. So when I need that sound, I can run right to it, and then I can add whatever I need to add on it with an MS60B. So I can add things like a bit crusher. It's me turning the IRs on and off, but it's on now. And of course, you can have that bit crusher. With my settings there is bit set to 12, SMPL set to 31, balance is 7, tone is 6, level on 100 there. You can add more. You can change that SMPL from 31 to maybe 46. Turn it back to 31. Take down the bit. You can pretty much, just play around with it, put it back to my settings. Alright, so you take something like that, and you can also run, of course, if you have an OC-5, you can run that as well. So you got options there, plenty of options. You just gotta be creative. So let's see, take something like that, add some bass detune to it, and you pretty much, you put a modulation, that bit crusher. You can use a distortion or overdrive in the place of that as well. I particularly like bit crushers, um, but you could take something like a bass detune, or which is just pretty much it takes a sample, a copy of your signal, and push it out of tune slightly to create a nice chorus effect. So I have mine set up to add a nice synth texture to it. So right there, you already got you a nice synth sound. Even with just the pedal by itself, you got a nice synth sound. But running a bit crusher and something like a bass detune on here, I have my settings for the bass detune at the synths is set to 20, pre-delay is set to 0, mix is 47, tone is 8, level is 100, and low cut is 60. And you know the low cut is going to definitely make a difference in the sound on that detune.